hope you are not bored yet. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Shanshan Wang. I'm a master's student from, okay, sorry again. Yeah, now it's 6. My name is Shanshan Wang. I'm a master's student from Tampere University Audio Research Group. And today I'm going to present our paper, Low-latency deep clustering for speech separation. And the other two authors are Gaurav Naidani from India and Thomas Brighton from Finland over there. Okay. Honestly, it's quite nervous for me. It's my first paper here. Yeah. We are dealing 2 speakers mixtures here. So like 2 persons are talking at the same time, and we are trying to separate the individual speech from the mixture. Right. Good morning, everybody again, and hello, ICASSP. Yeah. So let's start with the motivation. Why low latency? Which is how the original idea of this paper. Like, because as we all know, low latency is very important in many scenarios, right? Like live concert performance and telephone calls. People just want to be as fast as possible. Like if you do something and you want to get the response as soon as possible. And especially, and those low latency requirements are very restrictive for the applications like hearing aids. And the reason behind this is that, see, here we have a sound, and it's like propagating, and the sound is perceived by the listener, especially for the listener who suffers from the hearing loss. So both through the direct path, which is the black arrow over here, and also from the hearing aid, the red arrow here. So if the sound is not processed immediately and sent to the listener, so you can feel like it might cause confusion or even headache to the listeners. So that's why low latency is very important. And in this paper, like we propose low latency algorithm. And currently, for the most state-of-the-art of the speech separation systems, like deep clustering, and most of them are offline. There are also online systems. And for this one, okay, that's why low latency is very strongly needed for the speech separation system in order to solve that the hearing aids applications. And so in this paper, our main contribution of this paper is that we propose that a low algorithmic latency adaptation of deep clustering method and for speaker-independent speech separation. Yeah. And precisely, we are trying to, by investigating like what type of network we are going to use, which allows online processing, and also the time frequency representation that allows online processing, and also lastly, how to obtain the speaker model in a short time. So I'll quickly start from the following 3 aspects, very simple. And let's first review what offline deep clustering does. So offline deep clustering actually is a method which combines supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So here given a mixture, audio mixture over here, and normally we extract the features by calculating the spectral features by calculating the magnitude of SDFD, and you all are experts in this. I don't need to explain more. And also the features can be input to the bidirectional RCM, like the original deep clustering paper here, and we've got embeddings. And k-means is used to cluster those embeddings and to get the 2 clusters, and then we assign the 2 clusters, one cluster 1 and another one is 0. And then we construct the masks. We get the masks. And so from the mixture to the embedding, this procedure, and into supervised learning. We treat the network in the supervised learning manner, and later after getting the embeddings, and we use unsupervised learning, that k-means we cluster the embeddings. Then we we get the masks. And the mask, finally, the masks can be applied to the mixture spectrogram, and again we take inverse SDFD, and this is how we get the reconstructed signal back. And let's go a little bit in detail for those who are not familiar with deep clustering. And so suppose this is a mixture spectrogram, a small portion of it, and each time we have time and frequency, okay? And so the red color indicates that the speaker 1 is dominant than the other, and the yellow one is another speaker is dominant, okay? And so these features, the bidirectional LSTM, the network tries to map each time frequency bin into a higher dimensional impedance, V. And so the dimension of the impedance V is time F, time frequency, cross D. D here means like you can decide, and you can also investigate how deep impedance, like the embedding dimensions that you want, that can give you the best result. And here we are using the 40 dimension like the original deep classroom paper. And the K-means later is used to cluster those embeddings into two clusters. As we can see from the first row, okay, this first row and third row, okay, no, fourth row, fifth row, the red ones. And the K-means, so okay, they are kind of similar. Then let's assign them, we assign this to 0 and the other cluster into 1. So later, we reshape this one according to the frequency dimension. We get a binary mask over here. And this is how offline deep classroom is. Okay, actually, yeah. And the neural network is trained to minimize the difference between the estimated affinity matrix VB transpose and the target binary affinity matrix YY transpose. So the output from the network, the embedding matrix, and we're trying to let it be as similar as to the ground truth masks. Yeah. And training in a supervised learning manner. And one of the advantage of this method is that it is speaker independent, which is very good. And however, it is offline because it uses bidirectional LSTM. And one has to wait until the complete signal finishes. So we cannot use this method on this for online applications. It's like hearing aids. So now, finally, let's see how low latency deep classroom is implemented, and which is our method. And so first of all, we are trying to find some kind of network which allows online processing. And obviously, we cannot use bidirectional LSTM. And we are using LSTM network where the information flows from one direction. Where the information flows from one direction to another direction. Yeah. And also the time frequency representation that allows low latency. And we are not using, like the original deep classroom paper, it used 32 millisecond window length. And here we are using 8 millisecond window length. We take each 8 millisecond segments, and which allows, like, we can have 8 millisecond latency. And lastly, how we obtain, in order to obtain the speaker model in a short time, for the offline deep classroom, what it does is that you have a signal, then you get embeddings, and then you later use the K-means to cluster embeddings, then you do the separation tasks. And for this, for our method, we are using only a certain length in the beginning of the mixture to get a cluster centers. We're not using the complete signal, and then it will be offering. So we're using a certain length in the beginning of the mixture, and here we refer it as buffer. And later, those centers can be used to predict the masks for the rest of the mixture. So this is our method. We are now, instead of using the complete, we just use a small portion in the beginning. And let's go in detail on how it works. So here, we have a stream speech mixture, and we are, like, for the first 0.3 seconds, we extract the features by calculating SDFT, magnitude of SDFT, and through the LSTM network, tries to get embeddings from the features is inputted to the LSTM network. We got embeddings over here, and K-means is a similar way like our offline deep classroom. Thus, similarly, K-means is used to cluster those embeddings into two clusters. And here, we can got the centers, like in the yellow groups and the red groups, and we got the centers. And later, similarly for the rest of the speech mixture, we extract features, we got embeddings from the LSTM network, and the centers, we are using these centers to predict the marks for the rest of the mixture. So in this way, we obtain we got the speaker models in short time. And now let's see how it performs this system. And firstly, for the data set that we are using is also like 2 speaker mixtures from the Wall Street Journal data set. And we try to keep as similar as possible as the original paper. And for the training data set, it contains 33 hours and having 110 speakers. And for the cross-validation data, it has 8 hours, and which has have the similar kind of information from the training data set. And for test data set, it has 5 hours, having 18 different speakers. Yeah. So this is our data set that we are using. And also, for the come to the evaluation part, leading and trailing silence are trained from the test audio signal. So we have, before forming the mixtures, we have as source 1 and source 2. And we train the silence from the beginning and the ending. And we form the mixtures like this. And the reason behind this, because is that we propose that we are using in the beginning, a small portion of the mixture in the beginning, and we use that mixture, we got the centers, we get the cluster centers, and we want to ensure that both speakers are active in the buffer. And also we have to notice that if we train during the test phase, if we do like this, and it will be more difficult because there will be more overlap. There's no silence totally, and just more overlap. Obviously, it will be more difficult for our separation system to test it. Yeah. And also, like we did another thing is that suppose this is our test utterance over here, and it has 6 seconds long, and we investigate how the buffer length affects our performance. So if it has 6 seconds long, okay, we take the first 1 second, we get a buffer, 1 second buffer, then we get cluster centers, and those centers can be used to predict the rest. Then the rest of 5 seconds will be our testing material. And we want to see how it goes with the different buffer length. If we change to 2 seconds, then the rest of 4 seconds will be our testing material. We are scientists, so we cannot like keep the different testing material are different. So in order to keep the testing material the same for different buffer length, and we choose another utterance which belongs to the same speak pair as our cluster utterance. So like we get clusters from some other utterance which belong to the same speak pair, then we extend the buffer length, we shorten it, and then we see how it goes with the test. So this is like a method that we propose also to test how to evaluate the different buffer length. Yeah. And networks and parameters. Again here, compared to the offline deep classroom system, and it has 32 milliseconds, and here we are only having 8 millisecond window length for online system. And also, we cannot use bidirectional RSTM network. Here we are using RSTM network. And I think like if you have listened carefully to by changing the network from bidirectional RSTM to RSTM, especially for speech separation, the performance drops actually. But we cannot use bidirectional for online system. That's why we have to use RSTM. But I have read some papers recently, like they use low latency controlled bidirectional RSTM, teacher-student network. Yeah, but which is very good. Yeah. So now let's see the result. For the offline classroom system, bidirectional RSTM, 32 milliseconds, we got 7.9 dB in SDR, which we consider as our baseline here. And by changing the network from bidirectional RSTM to RSTM only, keeping the same window length, 32, and we found another 1.0 dB loss in SDR. And again, on top of that, if we shorten the window length from 32 milliseconds to 8 milliseconds, we found another 1.1 dB loss. Actually, for presenting this result, I'm feeling like kind of everybody is trying to show their result is higher, getting better, and for me, like it's getting shorter, slower. But it's understandable. We are making it finally, for our online deep clustering system with 0.3 buffer and 8 millisecond latency, we got 5.1 dB in SDR. Compared to the offline system, we got 2.8 dB loss. Yeah. And also, we investigate the effect of the buffer length. As forget about this word first. Like if you think the longer buffer length that you take, it might improve our performance. But yes, it goes with our intuition until 0.3 seconds over here. See, the SDR that doesn't increase anymore, and which indicates us actually it's a good news, because no matter how long the buffer duration that you take, the performance doesn't increase anymore. So why do you have to waste your time to wait for a long time? Which means that the online system is not that bad with very short segments in the mixture, which is a good thing. And now let's listen to some audio samples. And I made my slides for Mac, and my Mac doesn't like this Windows, and I have to play for. Can you help me play the audios? No, play. Yeah, format problem, so we have to play from. Let's first listen to the female plus male mixtures. Let's first listen to the mixture.
The highest monthly.
And let's listen to the estimated ones.
The Minneapolis, Minnesota-based company said the offering will begin in September, but it hasn't set a record date or price.
And let's listen to another one.
Prices rose 1.6% in February, the highest monthly increase since 1881.
Yeah. This goes easily with the same cross-gender always. And let's listen to some same gender, male plus male. Picture.
Price fed is with bond key executive sharp.
Yeah.
Prices of municipal bonds changed month 38.1.
Another male.
The Fed has put 3 key executives in sharp.
Yeah. That's our audio samples. And I'll summarize my presentation finally. In this paper, we proposed a low algorithmic latency adaptation of deep clustering approach for speaker independent and speech separation. And we investigated how the network changes and how the network that different networks influences our performance, and how the window length, and also how the online buffer duration. So we found that by changing the network from bidirectional LSTM to LSTM and keeping the same window length 32 milliseconds, and we found 1.0 dB drop. And on top of that, if we shorten the window length from 32 milliseconds to 8 milliseconds, we found another 1.1 dB drop in SDR. And for our online deep clustering system, we proposed with 0.3 seconds buffer and 8 millisecond latency. We compared the offline system, we found 2.8 dB drop in SDR. And more importantly, that we found that even with 0.3 second buffer duration, it is sufficient to estimate reasonable clusters for separation, which is a good news. We don't need to use a lot of materials to get our good cluster centers. Yeah. And for more information, please check our paper, Low Latency Deep Clustering for Speech Separation. Thank you so much.
Hi, Shan. Thanks for the very nice talk. I was just wondering, did you look at whether different features have any impact on the performance of your algorithm?
Yeah, very good question. Actually, mostly the features we are using is like the magnitude of short Fourier transform, the log magnitude. But we haven't tried other features, but we would like to try like null frequency. Yeah, some other features. But we haven't tried. Yeah.
And another question. So you compare the online version of your method against the offline DLSTM.
Yes.
Did you even consider comparing it with the Oracle mask?
Oracle mask.
So just to see, the TF mask, just an Oracle mask.
Yeah.
Just to see what you're getting, how much
Yeah.
of performance drop you're getting from the ideal binary mask.
Okay. We haven't tried that either. Yeah. But I understand the importance of this question because, like, by checking like how the oracles, like, we can see like how our system goes. What is like how far is it to the ground truth? Yeah. We would like to try that as well. Thank you so much.